with two consecutive failures in grade 12, gave us what my guest is today, an outspoken hustler who enjoys the journey of serial entrepreneur. After spending 15 years of exceptional experience in the corporate world, today we have Abhishek Sinha with us, a seasoned serial entrepreneur with over 3 decades of experience across various industries, starting his journey as a freelance trainer in the early 90s. Abhishek climbed the corporate ladder to the hold global management roles before venturing into entrepreneurship. He is the co-founder of Cafe Zero Point, a unique dining experience, and Prop Metaverse, a platform transforming real estate through technology. He is also the founder and CEO of Vaj Group. Let's dive deep into his journey. Welcome to the show, Abhishek. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, namaste, and probably US time is good morning right now. So I'm
Yes.
here based out of Pune. And an introduction for myself briefly, Mr. Sinha has already given it. I started my journey. I come from basically a government official family, and started my journey where education was the most critical thing. But for some reason or the other, in 12th year of my education, I became rebellion to my education system in the country, and I failed the first time. There was After failing, I tried giving the exams again, failed the second time. This was the second year, and that's where my hustling journey started. I realized beggars can't be choosers, and I had to push myself to achieve everything that one could achieve easily if you had qualified class with the good grades and things. In terms of my professional career, there are two parts to it. The first part is my journey as an employee to various companies. I started with my first salary at 1,200 Indian rupees way back in 95. Uh, with a company that used to sell software from Microsoft. We were the resellers for Microsoft, and it was a great company. We had only two employees, the owner and myself. So that's where I started my career because of my bad marks. And then slowly grew up. My performance was good. Luckily, I had access to few things where I was pretty good with my software. While I was doing this job, I did a software programming course, which was a 3 years course with an institution in India, NIIT, and that started shaping my career in the direction of being a programmer. But very soon I realized that's not my cup of tea. I don't like sitting at one place doing the same thing repeatedly. And so this is how the career started there. So from there, when it started, about 7 years down the line, I had a major setback in job. Though nobody told me get out of the company, but directly, indirectly said, get lost because you're not an MBA. So I struggled hard to get into an MBA institute, got my MBS. The career changed again. That was the second stage in my career, professional career, kind of a second phase of career where things started getting better. And then I never had to look back, career, everything changed for me. I took global positions. I worked with the 10th largest group in the world. I was their vice president, taking care of a lot of things. And then in 2008, when my son turned 2.5 years, I suddenly realized I've never seen him playing. Always saw him growing this way, not this way,
Right.
not in height. So I decided to quit my job, start my career. This was one reason. Reason two was that, when you're at certain position in most of the companies, the best of the companies, you always have some kind of internal politics which goes on. And at that stage, one of my senior colleagues who I used to report into decided to move out on a very bad term with the management of the company. And I remember I had a short message from the management asking where does my loyalty uh, stand, on which side. I replied back to them. They appreciated my reply, but this kind of a mail raised a question mark on my future. And at such positions, if you're asked to go, it's fatal for your career. So putting together my son and the situation at the company, I decided to quit and start on my own. My first business was a consulting business. which I still do. It's still close to my heart. So I do a lot of process and system consulting. I do a lot of consulting in manufacturing sector, various sectors. So that's where I started in 2008. And then from there, I started venturing into new businesses. So India's first uh, vegetable business, where the vegetables were sold through a call center. Because online, though we used to claim ourselves online, but websites were not so popular. This was way back in 2009. And
Right.
we set up a call center where people would order. We change the way we buy vegetables in India. Normally, you feel, touch, see, experience, and then buy, and that completely changed. So this is where my business journey started in 2008, and then there has been few setbacks. A big setback I had because one of my major client, which used to contribute about 60% of my business, had a big setback in the country. So we did have a big setback. One of my major clients in Russia had some setback because of fuel, so we had a setback there. So putting it together, we did have some setback, and then we decided to restructure ourselves and start getting into startups. And now we have about 8 different startups of our own, and close to about few hundred startups where we are directly or indirectly involved. So that's all about my career.
What a journey! What a journey! So let me take you back in time. So 12th grade, you must be what, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah,
Two
17.
70, two consecutive failures, or in couple of subjects, and then with your thought process that no, I need to have a clean sweep before I progress in my career and education. And you also mentioned that you come from a government family, so your father was working for the country. So what was the environment in the house? There's somebody who is at your father who is at a higher level position, and the kid, because I had some similar. I was not very good in studies, and my mother was the professor of sociology.
Mm.
So I always, so I want to hear from you, what the environment was like. And the follow-up question is there, you must have seen a great movie which was made, I think a year back, the 12th fail, which gained very popular. Do you think, they should make a series on you also, a follow-up on you? And then, how your early setbacks uh, provided you the backbone that you have today.
Okay, let me start with the first point, which is about how was family or the house reacting. So before I get into that, let me give you a brief feedback, a brief background. Probably you would know this. We come from a state called Bihar, and there's a community called Kayast, the Sinhas, the
Yeah.
Srivastava. And for us, education is everything. Nothing else matters in this world. You do not do a job, it's fine. You don't earn, it's fine. But if you're well educated, you're highly qualified, perfect. Imagine in a family like that, and government servants, anyways, have to be really well qualified. So, in a family where, in a community where education is the important thing, and in a family where everybody was well qualified, well placed, uh, it was a serious issue. But the best part is my father came to my rescue. I still remember after my first failure, he did not say much, but he did ask me a question, which was very interesting in my life. He asked me, other guys have given examination, their neighbors around. In Indian social system, that's also very important. Neighbors are more interested in you. Than, uh, their interest is less in their own house, more in their neighbor's house. So, considering, and at that time, considering the scenario, he had this question: what would you tell others? And I was kind of quiet for a few seconds, and I said, uh, well, I spoke it in Hindi. I'll first speak it in Hindi and then translate to English. I said, हम fail कर गए वही बताएंगे लोग को. So I said, basically, I said, I failed, and that is what I'll tell everyone. Uh, and my dad was pretty excited about it. He patted my back and he said, if you can own your failure like this, there's nothing that will stop you ever in life. And then he narrated a small incident from my school time, which I, of course, did not remember, but some bits and pieces of it I remember. I was in Ladakh in a school, Moravian Mission School, and we used to have last period as Urdu. And one fine day, there was a slow blizzard around, and we often tried avoiding the Urdu class. But that particular day, the Urdu teacher, who was fairly elderly guy, walked into the classroom and says, "Whoever wishes to go home today can go home. I'll let the guy go." And two of us walked out of the room, you know, and we reached home. My father was quite upset about this whole thing. During the blizzard, I was released and free to go out, which nobody obviously in the school did not know. They all thought I'm there. So next day he reported to the principal. And the principal said, "We were not aware." Anyways, the Urdu teacher was called and he said, "I'm sorry, I was not aware that he would have stepped out of the school. But one thing I can tell you today, that this guy will never have anything uh, that can stop him from doing something, you know. If in blizzard, when they know the situation, as a little kid, he could walk 5 kilometers to the hole, nothing stops him." And he
Yeah.
gave that example, and life continued from there. So when the second time it happened again, it was a big chaos. This time it was serious. So my father sat with me and he asked me only one question. "Fine, you failed well. I have no problem with that. We understand in our community these things are important, but I have only one question. What do you want to do? I'll not pick up a call to call somebody for a job for you. At best, I can do is I can give you 5 lakh rupees, 500,000 Indian rupees, which I have saved for your sister's marriage. I can give it to you where you can start a garage for yourself." I had a lot of interest in cars. So he said, "You can start a garage for yourself. But that too, you'll have to do back in your hometown, not in Delhi. You cannot do it. It's expensive." So I said, "Fine, give me some time. Let me think." Young 17-year guy walks out in Delhi, 40-degree temperature, roamed around here and there. So I'll share this part of it later. But this is how my family handled it for me. They were always there, in a way, asking what's the next step, or somewhere or other in their quiet ways, or by talking about stories from here and there, they were guiding me in a direction where I could find my way to do things that I wanted to do.
Right.
And at that point in time, going in engineering college was quite a fashion in India. We had an option where I could pay a management fee and get admission into some of the colleges, you know, where the fees were double or triple. So this was one of the options given to me. But I realized that I was finding 12th difficult and thought, I don't know if I'll be able to do engineering. That's where I stopped. So this is how, but my family took that also fairly well. They said it's absolutely fine. And the question which my dad had asked me, saying that, "What do you want to do next?" is where he started slowly guiding me without me realizing that he's guiding me to do something. So that was the journey. The second part of it, this was the first part, how the house reacted. How it changed my life is something very interesting. By the time I'd failed twice, most of my friends had completed first year of engineering or doctor's education or something or the other. They were completing their first year. And by the time I started looking for options for myself for study with such bad grades, going to a college which was, didn't have any standing in the country, and seeing your friends when they come in a holiday, very soon they would have become, another 3 years, 4 years, they would have become engineers. That started, pushing a thought into me that beggars can't be choosers. But then there's only one way. Beggars have to push themselves if they want to come out of a situation of begging. And that's exactly what I did. And when I went and spoke to my father again about this, my family, he said, "Look, if you keep eating sugar without having the chilies, you'll never understand the taste or have appreciation for the sugar. So you've already in your 12th grade have had a taste of the green chili. Now go ahead and enjoy your life. Do what you want. Push yourself. Whatever you need will be there." So that motivation and my own thought is what pushed me to grow further and start taking life the way I've been taking it in last several years. And basically this thought that beggars can't be choosers, so you have to push yourself to grow, is what turned me around and I started hustling. And that's where I picked up my first job, right along with my college. So this is all that I have as input here.
Yeah. So Abhishek, you spent 15 years in corporate world, and I would like to just slightly touch upon it. And it doesn't look to me that you are somebody who will stay in some kind of a structured framework for 15 years. So how did that happen?
In my 15 years, if you look at the number of jobs that I've changed, you can figure out what happened. So mostly, see, there are two things. Because of my bad credits or the scores at the school, it was little difficult to get a good job. But any international company that wanted to come into India and establish, and they needed some experience and knowledge in softwares, I was good at it. I had the natural intelligence, plus software was my interest. So when I was talking about NIT that I did, I got my scholarship there. The way they taught and things were different. So, so I worked with companies in primarily establishing them in the country. Once they would be established, once things settle down, I would move out. So typically, you'll see anywhere between 8 months to a year is the max that I work with a company. There are times when I've changed in 6 months. I do not know if it's there in public domain, but there are times when if things are not happening in a company, if they if you don't have to work 24/7, somebody is not calling in the middle of the night and saying, hey, things have gone bad, come now. I would not work in a company. So once things settle down, I normally used to move on. So that's how my professional career has been. But yes, as I grew up the hierarchy, then I've spent about a year and a half or two. So average has been a year and a half at higher positions. But at lower positions, I have changed my jobs left, right, and out.
Great. So now let's jump into your entrepreneurial journey. Two very different segments: Cafe Zero Point and Prop Metaverse. One is in hospitality, one is in real estate. So having those two diverse, different business ideas, and you started both, take us through that.
Okay, before we
What
get
prompted
into
you to
it,
start Cafe Zero Point to start?
okay, so before I get into it, let me give you small backgrounds to the whole thing. I love socializing. I love going out. I love partying. You know, so this is one. The second background is that when I started my consulting business, we did really well. We had our offices in Russian subcontinent. We had our offices in Europe, and we were growing. And we were in every business with businesses which I did not know. My first business was pharmaceutical consulting in pharma sector, which I did not know pharmaceutical at all. Then I moved into forex and into education. So they were all new fields, but I learned a lot there. The advantage was that I was like a blind man. I was not a domain expert. So I did not know anything. So I would go like a little kid who would be inquisitive, ask question, get solution, and suddenly somebody would say, wow, you can do this. Can you do this? Is it possible? I said, yeah, I did it. So for me, it was not a surprise. For people who were domain experts, they were literally surprised that this is not possible. How did it happen? So that's the second thing, which uh, when this was happening around me, was the stage when I realized that somebody just had to get into a field sincerely, they'll understand. So now putting these two together, when I had my consulting business setback, where we lost huge money, we had huge tax liabilities, government issues, and sorted, I realized that they say don't keep all your eggs in the same basket. So I decided on distributing my eggs into different basket. And I had to start from somewhere which did not cost much while keeping my interest in socializing with people, connecting with people. So my first business that I started was a small food business, which we call uh, cafe. This was Cafe TND, which is
Cafe
more to do with,
T&D. Okay.
yes, it was an outdoor space where people could come, they would meet together, cook together, eat together, go back and pay me money for it because I had an safe open space where people could come. So this is where we started. So I could socialize with people. And then slowly we started building up into Cafe Zero Point, what you see today. Uh, the idea of this cafe is a social club. Anybody and everybody associated in this business, including my customers who come in here, they're part of the social club by default. So we socialize, we talk on topics, we bring up interesting ideas, share with each other. So cafe is just from a perspective that you can come here, order a sandwich or a food, some kind of a quick sandwich, coffee, or some food and eat it. But idea behind the whole ordering is that you sit together, socialize with each other, and talk. In our cafe, if you come, you won't find TVs, you won't find screens, you won't find publicity saying we have free Wi-Fi's. We don't give free Wi-Fi's to anybody. Uh, you come here, play board games. You come here and discuss a topic. If you want us to participate in it, we'll do that. So that's the kind of cafe. So idea was that you make a social hub where people come. And purpose, well, this was a well thought structure that I wanted to start multiple businesses where I needed to identify resources who could work with me. And this was the best way. I could socialize, meet people, be selective about who I want to work with, and then pick that out. So most of my businesses that I have, like Prop Metaverse, there's another gentleman who's there along with me. I met him at Cafe. My education-based business, which is Global Management Associates, which is again into education consulting. There's somebody who I met at Cafe. This is how it built up. Now, asking about different businesses, I've already shared that I wanted to put my eggs into different basket. Property interested me specifically because that's the only investment which does not go dead. It can be bad. It can delay your returns, but you cannot lose money unless until there's a legal suit or some kind of a war going on. You won't lose on your property. Even if there's a war, after war, your property kicks back, it pushes back. So I always had interest. So when I found somebody who could do it with me, I established this company. And today, let me share, this has just been 2 years. And now we are valued at almost, in fact, 2 months ago, we were valued at 10 crore Indian rupees. So USD you'll have to convert. Today, we are valued at about 70 crores Indian rupees. Wow. And we do property broking and property management. And we basically, in broking, we don't do traditional broking like just sell and come out. We are broking. See, it's a business. So by virtue of regulatory needs, I am a broker. But actually, I'm a property investor guide. So I guide people to invest into properties and get them good returns. And that's the kind of deals I negotiate with the developers also in the country. So idea was to spread all my revenues across multiple sectors so that I don't have a setback when one sinks. This is how we started different sectors.
And the Prop Metaverse, it is also helping the women entrepreneur to get into the real estate business, correct?
Sorry, I missed it.
The Prop Metaverse, it is also helping the women homemaker to get into the business. Yeah.
This got added last year when one of our employees walked in and he said that, can I get my wife also to work with you? I said, why, what happened? She's working. No, she's lost job. And my question was, why? He said, because she's now we are planning our first child. She's pregnant and the company does not want to take the liability cost as per regulation. And that is something which me and my wife, we sat together, we discussed, and we realized that there are a lot of women who are suffering like this. So we said, okay, fine. This is an easy thing. You have to make calls. You have to talk to people. You can do it from anywhere. And we built up a whole ecosystem where people can work from their home, just sign an agreement with us and get started. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to do anything. We provide you with the email. If you need mobile connections and all, we provide you and you get started. That's how it works. And it works well for both of us because that's a revenue sharing. We're not paying them salary. They just work, they earn, they share revenue with us. We've only created a platform to support them. That's all. And we, as on date, we have about 1,600 pregnant or post-delivery and pre-delivery, as in pregnant and post-delivery women who are working with us.
Wow. Yeah. That is a real impact in the web. And, it is all about women empowerment also, that we are.
It does work about women empowerment, yes. And this is where the company has got valuation. Otherwise, how would you generate valuation like this in a 1 year time?
Yeah.
You're in the property broking. You're not buying real estates. You don't have assets in your company. So where do you generate the valuation from?
Value.
These people who are creating those values for creation of valuation.
Mm-hmm. You're also involved in social impact programs for schools and community healthcare. Yes. What long-term impact do you aim to achieve with your social initiatives, Abhishek?
Okay, a brief background is that this started during COVID. Me and my wife, we have been consultant to most of the Jesuit schools in the country. And Jesuit school are basically Jesuit community are the Society of Jesus. They run a lot of good schools like St. Xavier's, Don Bosco's, St. Michael's, Loyola's. They also run charitable schools, which is basically for underprivileged people. So during COVID, since I was working with this school, one of the father who was very close to me, Father James, uh, he's from, if I'm permitted to take the school name and the location, is that fine?
Hey, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's St. Xavier's Hazaribagh, and then he had moved to St. Xavier's Bokaro. So since I was working with him closely, he said, Abhishek, there are a lot of these community schools, small schools where we support underprivileged, and now we're stuck. We don't know what to do. And just before COVID, I was working on a commercial project, as in on an absolutely business proposal with Xavier's Bokaro, where I was giving them consulting on process and systems. And just around that time, the COVID hit in. We did not know which way to look, and that's where we established the online classroom, and we were the fastest in the country to do so. The whole school moved in from a basic, typically in small cities here, we use key phones, from key phones to smartphone to the smart classrooms. We did it in less than about 60 days. So, that was an achievement. So father said, why can't we do it for other schools? And that's when me and my wife decided to take a road trip during the peak COVID. Me, my wife, and my son, three of us, we took road trips, and about 150 to 200 odd schools we visited, and we started bringing them online. We started trading kits there. And let me share something interesting with you. I was amazed with the dedication of these schools that were running in remote areas, did not have any facilities. Teachers would take initiative to teach on WhatsApp. Can you beat
Wow.
this on WhatsApp? And they were sincere about it. Homeworks they could get on WhatsApp, send it on WhatsApp, they'll check and go back. I was amazed and impressed. So that's where my social impact on education started. So me and my wife both are involved. Jayati Sinha was my wife. She's also involved with it. And typically we try to find girls' schools where most of the education are given to the girls, because both of us jointly believe that if you're able to teach one girl child, uh, uh, you are creating generations of educated people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So
I firmly believe in that.
correct. So this is where we try to do it. Our contribution is not in terms of money. Our contribution is not in terms of trying to support, run their families or house. We contribute in terms of helping them get better education if they need. So what we do is we identify schools, we find some girls who are doing good, and we try to support them for higher education. We do not give them any financial assistance in their house. For their education, whatever is needed, we directly do it with the educational institution. And if some of them want to break away to do some work, we try to empower them with skills where they can do better for themselves. So this
Absolutely.
is how it works. In terms of long term or future vision, we really don't have a big, clear vision. But me and my wife, we both believe that let's try to educate as many girl child so that they can bring up their next generations and help them educate, help their next generation in terms of getting better education. That's all that we can do. And whenever they come back to us, we try to give each of them some kind of a job opportunity where they can create. In fact, this is another thing across my companies, at my home, starting from drivers to domestic support to everybody has one business of their own. We've helped them build. Like my domestic support has a business called Domestic Assist. So from her village, she picks up connect with people. We have told her of we kind of explained her all the rules. She picks up people. She calls up people. She places at anybody's residence, does a follow up, and she earns an additional income apart from the income that we give. So tomorrow, even if we are not there, they're self-sustained. They can take care of themselves. This is what we do. Every single employee of our company has something of their own, which ensures that if we fail, if we close, if we go, they will have their earning a source for running their house absolutely running fine. That's the right
Great,
medium.
great. This is phenomenal, phenomenal. So now let's venture into a little bit about your interest. 4 by 4 custom truck and motorbike.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So as I said, I love to socialize. I love to be outdoors. My childhood has been in outdoors and in the midst of nature because of my dad's job, uh, the kind of job he had. So that's where I picked up the interest. As I grew up, I started watching a lot of YouTube channels. So US, Australia, they're known for their four-wheel drives and things. So I picked up the first interesting vehicle that was launched in India was from Isuzu. So I picked up this Isuzu V Cross, custom built with the suspensions, the differential, typical technical things that you do. And we are a group of about 11 people. And these trucks, we take it out on extreme situations. Some of those videos you can see it on YouTube through our Eco Adventure is the company. It's held by a close friend, and we do a lot of offsite, extreme off roads, and do all kind of promotions there. But that's my passion. I still love to drive that truck. It makes you feel good, and we also utilize that truck for social initiatives. Like if there's a flood somewhere in Maharashtra, we are invited to go and support them because these trucks can go anywhere, literally anywhere. And with 11 of us together, we are absolutely easy to be navigating in any places, fitted with everything that you need for your navigation without communication systems, without mobiles working. We have got everything put into it. So that's both side of it. So one side is that adventure sports is my passion. We do it. On the other side, we use it for social initiatives. Biking comes in from my son. During my college, a typical Indian family, the son would not get a bike if you're the only one in the house. So
Yeah.
I'm the son and I have his younger sister. So when I did my 11th and 12th and I asked for a bike, and my dad said, no way. One, I was failing. Two, the only son. So you're not getting a bike anyway. So he bought me a very basic 75 cc, I don't know how you call it, 75 cc. It's a very small, weak engine, something which I never rode. I just used to kind of, initial excitement I did use, but that passion for bike never went. But with time, I'd forgotten. When my son grew up to become 16 years, he started chasing me. Probably the DNA, while it was being transmitted, this part got transmitted to him. They call him my absolute photocopy genetic imprint of mine. They call my son is like that. His characters are similar. He started chasing me. He wanted a bike, and that's when we went and bought 2-3 bikes for ourselves. We were okay managing, so we thought we'll buy bikes, and then we got back. As in my teens aspirations, kind of just did not know which way to look. It went wild, and with my son adding to the whole thing, it became a wonderful fun. So when we got our bikes, we used to go for an early morning ride. I'll share with a small incident which is very interesting. One day my wife went to his school to see his examination papers. I think he was in 6th grade or 7th grade, and 5th, 6th grade, I think. And she came back very upset with me. She said, you and your son, both of you are just useless. I said, why? What happened? She said, I will never go back to school to look at his examination papers. I said, fine, understood, but you have to tell me what happened. Then my son, in his quiet thing, he was kind of, probably had already had his share of blast. So he says, Papa, the best chai in the country is the tapri chai, no? You know why? Tapri chai in Bombay style is like the small tea stall where you could go and have it. And this was a question in his paper in GK, I think it said, which is the best tea in the country? And he said, Tapri chai. And that's why my wife was upset. Why did he say Tapri chai? Because every morning, 4, we used to get up and say, let's go for a Tapri tea on the bike. So that's how I started. So bike was my dream. My son added to the dream, and we kind of built it up well. So now we do a lot of biking and we do a lot of off-roads whenever we get a chance. At least twice or thrice in a month, we do go out. A longer drives, we do it probably 3 or 4 rounds in a year.
Wow.
So that's how it is.
Very nice. Okay, now let's go back to Bihar. Let's go back to Patna. Thank you for all your support and help in setting up TIE Patna. And I think that is really going to be a game changer in the local Bihar startup ecosystem. Government is doing a lot of their work. There are a couple of mentor groups and incubator and accelerators are there. But with the power of TIE and our reach to 62 chapters in 14 countries, I think we can expose these startups from Bihar and from Patna and Bhagalpur, Samastipur, other places to the global audience of investors in there. You are a mentor also, and I have the privilege of working with you for a couple of days last month or this month, yeah, this month in India, working on Thai Patna. When you are mentoring somebody and you have touched so many lives and so many industries and verticals and that, what are the key skills that you believe are the most critical for success across industries? If there is a startup founder, health tech, medtech, with deep tech, SaaS, product selling, lemongrass tea, what is one or two, maybe three things that they must have if they want to go and start their entrepreneurial journey? What is your thought? You have met with so many founders.
I typically would say there are only 2 points. One is passion. The second is understanding of money. If these two things are together, you can kill anything. If you don't understand this, nothing can help. Passion, when I say there's a dictionary meaning to it, I really don't take it up. Dictionary meaning does have a lot of sense, but what I mean is it's a combination of passion and perseverance. Just passion can only keep driving you to some extent. But when you come across setback there, you don't give up, you get back and you push yourself, is where a combination of passion and perseverance comes. So I always define it as passion only because, a typical example that I quote to people is somebody who is not mentally stable and is trying to cross the road. If you're driving on the road, I don't know if you get to see many in US, but you do see in several underdeveloped countries or third world countries where you're driving at high speed and a guy decides to just cross the road. You can keep abusing, you can keep shouting, you jump on your brake, it does not matter. The guy wanted to cross the road and he crossed or she crossed because they were mentally not stable. So that's the kind of passion you need. What you want to do, you have to push yourself to do it. And second is understanding of money. If you cannot look at your business and define the sources of revenue, the direct sources of revenue, the indirect sources of revenue, then you can be with a lot of passion. You may stand with the most or the best brilliant minds there. You will kill yourself. So you really need to understand these two things.
Mm-hmm.
This is my take on it.
Yeah, yeah. And you had your recent visit to Patna again. What do you feel about that ecosystem, and how we can support in flourishing those scattered ecosystem which are happening in small towns, and what can we do by sitting here or with our journey back home? What could be a good logical platform that we should build to help those folks?
Before I answer this question, I really want to give my opinion about what I've seen and what I feel. Most of these category B and C cities, what people tend to do is they want to go with the flow. Going with the flow is not bad, but here the problem is that the flow is driven by the government policies. Government says, "I'll give you money in startup," everybody jumps into it. Government says, "Okay, you put in 1 rupee, I'll give you another rupee." 500 people jumps into it. Point here is that you really need to understand what you're planning to do. So most of the people in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, especially a place like Patna or similar other cities, they really have to relook at why they're jumping into the business. And if and this is where they do not really think about it. It's all about money. It's all about the money that you're getting free to do the business. Everybody tends to believe that you give me the money. I'm sorry. you give me the money and I'll do the business. It does not work that way. In fact, most of the startups, when I talk to them, I tell them, if you come and tell me I need money, I'll kick you out of my office. Come and tell me what is the problem that you're facing. Tell me where you want to go and you're struggling with something. We will decide whether you need money for it or there are alternate ways to do it. Or we can jointly decide on it. But don't come up to me and say, oh, I have this problem, I need money and I'll do it. So anybody who walks up for money, we throw them. And that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest challenge I see with most of the guys in smaller towns where they think you give me the money and I'll do the business. So what we need to build as an ecosystem is a lot of education program where we tell them it's not just about money. It's not that the money that is given to you and you'll do business. Business requires few more things. Go and get those basic requirements in yourself so that you can build up a business. And that's when you can utilize any money, whether it is government money, your money, my money, anybody's money. So I believe that we have to create an ecosystem which educates people while guiding them to build a business. So as we call it, the pre-incubation period is where we really need to get integrated with such youngsters, guide them, and before they're incubated, they must confirm to it. Yes, if they're getting into it, they'll continue with it for business, not for money.
Yeah. In my recent visit, also, I visited IIT Patna. In my next visit, I'm planning to go to IIM Bodh Gaya. In IIT Patna, there are 3 incubators which are happening. Smart kids doing phenomenal work, but the visibility of the world, or how to approach international market, I think there is a big gap in there. So if we could, join hands and try to come up with some way of guiding them early. Another thing that I found out that they have no idea about the company valuation.
Absolutely.
They don't know how to pitch. Communication
that we jointly experienced. We both experienced.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
Yeah. 3 minutes, and you cannot complete your story.
Yeah. They couldn't
and somebody who has raised funds, still they can't complete their story in 3 minutes or tell another investor that what is the problem that they are really. So, and that cannot happen in one day. It has to be a structured program. Can TIE play a role? Maybe through its nurture program or a new program that we may or that we can introduce. But what is your thought on that? How to really help them? Otherwise, these are great minds trying to do great work, but ultimately they are not going to survive in the market, and the master law of survival of the fittest will kick in, and they will just fail.
In my personal opinion, I see only one route to it. We have to bring in a private and a government sector collaboration. See, like when you say TIE Nurture, it's a good program. But how many times will you run? Who will bear the cost every time? This is difficult. You can run it once, twice, but then this will not help everyone get educated. So what we need to do is that whatever ecosystem exists in Bihar, for example, all the incubation centers, people need to integrate with them and do a continuous education program. See, Nurture is a very interesting program. I do not have much in-depth knowledge, but what I understand, it's a very aggressive program which lasts for few certain X number of days. Yeah. And at the end of the X number of days, you have various pitches, demo days, and things like that, right? So now to run a program like this is like you've already done the foundation education, which has not happened. So if you've not learned A, B, C, D, how do you want me to learn apple, bat, cat, anything of this sort? So Nurture properly is something like telling somebody, making a complete sentence, where you know the words. Here we're talking about learning the alphabets. So I would prefer, or if I'm given an opportunity, or the approach that I take now also, not that given an opportunity, with the initiative that I would prefer to take, or I am taking in fact, is to set up something there which will help people understand the basics of the business and continuously educate them to become somebody who can then go into some foundation program and then into Nurture and come out really well. So Nurture probably should be the third stage of our whole training program. But before that, what is revenue? Teaching them just the basics, and connecting them to set up global visions. Like when you talk about global vision, problem here is that uh, sometimes you do not have experience, so you do not have global vision. I'm absolutely fine with it. We learned through experience. Whatever we
Yeah.
are talking today is our experience. Probably 30 years ago, we were the same. But the difference between them and us is that we were not just money driven. And there, everybody is trying to talk of money. Every single person that I have met in small cities, not just Patna, is about money. Nothing bad with it. But first get your basics clear, then talk about money. That's all I'm trying to say. So I would prefer to create something which basically works on educating them to create a business, run a business, understand the basics of business, and then talk of anything else.
Yeah, so I think I'll take it offline with you. I'm very interested in that because that is my give back to the hometown, which has given me so much. And this
Mhm.
is why I was very instrumental in opening Thai Patna there. And I donated my time, I traveled on my dime, all those
Yes,
things. Because I still feel that all these B cities of India, they have great talent, uh,
Mhm.
but for them to come to the international stage, they need a lot of coaching. Like in sports,
Absolutely.
Dhoni was found in Ranchi, but you know, from his early days, because he got the proper coaching, he became what he is today. So
Absolutely. I completely agree. Mm.
I feel there is a need, there is a demand. That the demand will gets generated automatically. I like the way you wanted to approach it. That it has to be a private government partnership. It cannot be just private or just government. And if
Absolutely.
we can bring our international exposure, if I can bring our US based investors and community builders to the ecosystem, and with your help, we could do something in India jointly. I'll be very, very interested in that, Abhishek. So let's
We'll
have a
definitely
call
do
on the
that.
sideline.
Sure.
But,
I just wanted to add, you
while we are
remember
thinking
that
about doing it,
I just wanted to share our
yeah, go ahead.
experience. We all had it together. You remember the war room for Thai when we were setting up? Uh, well, I was new to it, so I hardly had
Yes,
any contribution, but you, Mr. Ravi Bhardwaj, all of you were putting in day and night into it. You remember those two youngsters who walked in? They were quick in everything.
yes.
But idea was that they just wanted kardo. Just do it. It does not work that way. You really need to look at your business, and when you come to talk to us, you really need to have some basics clear. You had to send them out twice to read something, come back, discuss, understand what equity should be given, and come back and answer their own revenues. Everybody was, see, if you remember that discussion, oh, I've done this business, I get X percentage, this is the revenue, I need to grow further. They were not looking at the potential revenues that they had because their whole vision and thought was not there. Their thought was also not there, you know. So these are something that we really need. I believe that it's like a nursery education that you need to do, nursery education for business. Build that up
Yeah,
and then bring it next levels.
yeah, yeah. So let's do it together, Abhishek.
Sure.
Let's involve, Ravi Bhardwaj. Let's involve some of the key ecosystem players from Patna,
Mm.
Kumud Kumar and all, and then and let's see how we can put something together because that is the need of the hour. Otherwise, startup, which is a very sexy word right now, the fad will go away in couple of years because
Absolutely.
people will see,
Absolutely.
and then the investor will start shying away. And unless you have investment dollars coming in, how far can you grow in a small market like the art? That per se.
Absolutely.
So let's do
But
something.
I
But
think,
when we are
yeah.
working on it, I think just to help the ecosystem, if you and I can partner and few others, and we start doing some LinkedIn live events, every week, every 10 days, every 15 days, something like that, maybe in English and Hindi both, so that we can outreach the community over there, and guide them, give them some input, group mentorship programs, and then see how they are receptive to our thought process, to what we were trying to teach them or mentor them, and then build the community from there. Because don't want to do catch them all, because there are so many uh, you know business people who are really not interested in the business, but just the money and the quick dollar, and how we can get funded through one of these state-run programs and whatnot. We want real entrepreneurs who are going to
Absolutely.
make it, that kind of a thing. So I'll seek your guidance, as well as uh, donate some time to it, so that it can be done. uh, yeah, any closing
So,
thoughts?
so while we're talking, let me share a few things. Yes, it's a possibility. Why possibility? Yes, we all should work together. Um, Not just for Bihar, we build up a system that can be replicated across, because a lot of smaller cities in India, probably at a later stage in the underdeveloped countries, they'll need similar models to come up. So probably Bihar, probably Bihar is our home ground, so that gives us a lot of comfort. With an institution like CIP coming in, further gives a great support. Being a government body, the heads of the CIMP taking a lot of interest. So putting it together,
Yeah.
we have good resource that is supporting us. So it's a perfect the environment or conditions for us to develop a system that can help people in category B and C cities. And we should create it in a way that it gets replicated to other cities also in the country. This is number
Yeah.
one. Number two, I have already started traveling to Patna. So I have committed that every month I'll spend at least 3 days in Patna
Wow.
helping any of the startup whenever they need it. Adding to this further, I've opened up my LinkedIn for everybody and my phone numbers that anyone can reach me anytime. So I'm keeping 24 by 7 for anybody whoever wishes to reach me. And I've said that on a weekly basis, I allocate about 3 hours online, out of which people who are able to send some good information, I'll allocate good, depending upon the information and
Yeah.
what I feel, I'll allocate time. If people are not able to explain themselves well, I'll still give them an opportunity of 10 minutes to speak and help me understand what they want to do. Sometimes you're not good in presentation, so you need to discuss. You may not be good in what you've written or what you've sent. So I'm giving them 10 minutes each person to speak, and they will speak. I'll just listen. I may have some questions to understand. And I did do 2 such exercises today. So completely free. They don't have to go through any scanning process, nothing. They can eat up my time on these things. So this is how I've initiated it. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah. So this gave me an idea. Obviously, you're going there for 3 days and donating 3 hours online time. You have opened up your LinkedIn, and you have listed your phone number, and all those things. Would you be interested in partnering with me in starting a series called LinkedIn Live Hindi Mein, for the Hindi
Absolutely.
speaking belt? And
Sure. Yes.
because I met with about 100 odd startup founders in my last 2 trips, and many were, you know, they are not good in communicating in English, and I can understand that. So if
Yes.
we just start that, just open it up, so that people just join in, and we can start with maybe 2 events a month, one every 15 days, a time which is suitable to the Indian folks. I'm willing to come in early in the morning, late in the night, whatever works for the Indian folks. So I will reach out to you about that, Abhishek, also, because I think we have to start somewhere. The big goal is there,
Absolutely.
that let's start a big cohort or a company or some kind of a partnership. Those things will take time, but let's take some baby steps, so that they can feel that what we are trying to bring. And let's also invite other folks who feel for Bihar, or even though if they are not from Bihar, but feel for India, to donate their time,
Absolutely.
and help these startup founders.
Yes. Yes. So,
Okay.
just to give you some insight into this kind of work, whenever you plan to start, uh, I am committed to bring in resources who would come join us and speak for various faculties. Like, I think CIMP is running some program on some Saturdays where they talk to startups. everybody was saying, oh, we should get people who are investment guys, people this. I said, no, they need to understand business. And I went to the top industrialists in the countries. And they said, Abhishek, how can we help? In fact, one of the industrialists asked me a question, very interesting question. He says, Abhishek, my forefather started this business. Today, I have a business which I got in legacy. How do you want me to contribute to startup? My only answer to him was that, when did you start? He said, back in 60s or 70s. I said, did you have the funds coming in easily the way it is today? He said, no. I said, how did you manage? That's more than enough for a startup to learn, you know.
Yeah.
And he was excited, you know. So I can commit into this kind of a program, bring in certain resources who've had experiences of different nature, and they're fairly well-known people in the country. So when they come in, it motivates the people also to listen, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
There's something I
Yeah.
can bring in
So
on.
yeah, so I will work with my team, come up with some bulleted project plan kind of a thing. I'll reach out to you, seek your time, and then discuss with you. Okay, with that we come to a end of this cast. My team will take about a couple of days to mix everything up, intro, outro, and then it will get published. We will send you a link to promote it also, Abhishek. It was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. But before we close, I just wanted to quickly uh, thank you. And, my sense, or I don't know how to put the words correct, but okay, let me put it this way. I had a very short stint of working with you in Patna, within the approach that you have is quite structured and everything. And my sense of appreciation, or I started appreciating your work at a stage where these three young kids came, or two young kids came, the example that we had taken about money. And I saw you saying, okay, I can't contribute and I do not wish to take any share. Nobody does that. That's a big thing. Let it be 1%, let it be 1 rupee, does not matter. Nobody wants to uh, live, any bit of money or share or any format. And that's where I first time came across in a team of big people. I know there are other people also like this, like Ravi. This is why we've been friends for so long. And he's the gentleman who brought me into Thai. Had it not been Ravi Bhardwaj, I wouldn't even know about, heard about it. So I wanted to thank you personally for such gestures with youngsters. You know, I kind of, I'm on behalf of all these youngsters who walked up to you and you've kind of walked away from the share, giving them things absolutely at nothing, is something which I wanted to thank you for. And I must appreciate your efforts and work in this direction. So my personal appreciation, I can't express it in word, but then you could understand what I mean.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Abhishek. It is the best compliment that I could ever get. I want to go worry free or to bed worry free. I don't want to go with a weight on my head that, I didn't do something which was not right. So
Yeah. Nice. This is nice. And for all the youngsters, whoever would be listening to this, I really would want you to put this message, especially in India, because they understand Hindi song. When you go through a bad phase, ideally cigarette is not a good thing, but it's not bad sometimes to pick up a cigarette, uh, take a
yeah,
fag, let the smoke go out, and listen to the song Har Gam Ko Dhuएं Mein Urata Chala Gaya. And
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yes,
and for small successes, you can pick up another cigarette, make it ring, and say, Banda ye binda se gana sun ke. So live life like this,
yeah,
and we'll never have stress. These are two of my
yeah.
favorite songs in my bad time and good time.
Sure.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you
much,
so much
Abhishek.
for this. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.